Hi guys, it's Amanda here, and I wanted to welcome you to the channel. If this is your first time, today I'm going to be going through this art journal that I created and just show you, if you're a beginner, that this is a great place to start. You don't have to have done any art before. This is just about creative play. Obviously, as you continue in your journey, you'll get better at doing different things, and there's so many different artists who have so many different styles that you can possibly learn from if you want to be able to draw faces, create, different scenery, create backgrounds. My speciality is creating backgrounds and patterns on the surface, and really just play and using that as a tool, because the arts in general across the board can impact our health and well-being. So with that said, today I'm going to go through this art journal that I completed in December, and there is it was part of the Creating in Faith podcast series that I do on my podcast. And I started doing the art journals as part of that process because a lot of people, when I'm listening to anything, I'm always doing something on a piece of paper, whether it's, sketching, doodling, creating backgrounds mostly, and just playing while I'm listening. It helps me process the information a lot better. So this, I encouraged you to take part in, and really just, you could make journals, or you could finish journals that you've already started. So this was one that I made from start to finish, and there is a 2-hour video. I'll put the link up so that you can see it, and it's a selection of cards that I took, bundled together, and I was literally there was no plan. It wasn't a planned, this is all the things I'm going to do. So this has grown, and it continues to grow. So even if you may have finished writing in it, because I use this as a mixed journal where I would write and create some images if I felt like it. I've got loads of journals where I just create images, like I'll show you my restoration journal quickly, and in this one it's mainly just faces, and I do some journaling around it, and sometimes I don't. Sometimes it's a lot of journaling, and sometimes there's none. And I'll show you this one in another video. Okay, so for this December one, the theme for this one was happy, and we'll just get on with it, shall we? I'll come in a bit, come in a bit so you can see the pages, and it's really self-explanatory really. So once I'd put the journal together, I decorated using like collage material. So these were all pieces that went with other pieces of work, and I had them in a scrap bag. So that's one thing. Definitely create a scrap bag of papers, because when you're creating, sometimes you're creating background papers without even knowing it. So I would have a sheet of paper usually under my work, and then when I'm painting on the pages, I would just dab it on there, the excess that was on the brush. Or if I wanted to practice, like I've got some stamps that I created and I wanted to see how they looked, and then this becomes a piece of background paper that you can use in your art journal. So some of these where I'd put some stamps on, it didn't quite, it blurred, so I wasn't able to use it in the particular project I was working on, so I used it in this. So that's what you can do. So that's the front page. And then I also made loads of different tags, and I was going to make, it was in a season where artists trading cards, and I'm sure people still do them, but I'd made a few but hadn't finished, and so they were sitting in a bag, so I used one of them on the front. Okay, let's go through the pages. Again, utilising a whole range of different papers, things that I've stamped, handmade papers that I've liked, and then doodling as well. This is just sequin waste, which I use as a stencil. Yeah, and this was a stencil I made, so I just cut it out, you know, with one of those hole punches, and I'd been using it, and then the paint that stayed on it, I just thought it looked nice as a little tab that you could, you know, put things under. And experiment, so experimenting with card, with paper. This is cereal box, and I painted it, and then just, you know, I was practicing doing the stenciling with sequin waste. This is a heart sequin waste, and other stencils that I'd created and, you know, practicing on, and then I cut it up and it's come in here for a label. So as I say, all the different cards have been used, and I've used this mainly as a, you know, writing journal. I didn't want blank pages, and so for me it was important to lay down colour. So I'm going through a season where I want all my pages with some sort of, you know, I will go in first and then add background colour and then journal on it, and it seems more complete for me, but that might not be for everybody. So tags that I can put things on. On this little one, I've just put chosen, the word chosen. So again, it's just like, it's just ends of cards that then become in a small journal like this, because it's like an A6 journal, and I can use up everything, all the scrap paper, all the bits and odds and ends that have been painted or coloured. I have a bag, several bags that I put them in, and then I just go through them, and I do that with the fabric as well. So experimenting with some of my favourite paints, gesso. Some of the pages didn't get done, and it was just like, that was okay. At that particular day that I was journaling, I didn't necessarily feel like it, because it was so vibrant in terms of the red. So, as I say, I normally do faces, and I just wanted to do a loose one for here. I loved this one. This one I had written on the page, and then I had this really light tissue paper, and it was literally just, you know, some scraps of tissue paper, and so I added it, and then I used inks on top. So I love the effect, and that's something that I might try again. So again, using this as a way of experimenting, trying out things, and then utilising it as a journal. As you go along. Okay, so there's so many different textures, and I purposefully on some of the pages utilised some of my favourite art supplies, and it was just like, I've got these favourite art supplies that are sitting there for when I do something special, and it's just like, everything I do for myself should be special, so why not utilise them? You know, why are you waiting to use it for other people when you've got yourself, you know, and you've got to keep yourself going? And yeah, so the colours were important to me, and I think, you know, maybe when I look back, as I look back on this, I come back, or you know, if there are any pages, I don't think there are any pages that are blank, that I might come, and if I want to do some doodling, just like I came back and I wrote "You are beautiful" on the back, and you are enough as you are, so I could still fill in the gaps with some wording. This one I really like because I used, I had these inks, these Derwent inks, I'm sure you know them, and I wasn't complaining that I'd had them for so long, because I kept them for best, that out of the, how many have I got? 8. 3 of them dried up. I hadn't used a touch of it and they dried up. So I was just like, why don't you start using them? So I used the gold. Like gold, I would never, the gold and silver, it was just like, no, I can't use those have got to be for best. But I like the way it goes on the page, and you can experiment on the page. And then on the top of some of the pages I wrote, you know, you're beautiful, you are beautiful. I put, I choose me, I accept me. And then the words that I was using for that particular week on the podcast as well. Some of the pages, like, I don't like throwing away photographs, and so I had this little one of my son when he was younger, and, you know, literally just did that. It's not in proportion, it didn't have to be. I just wanted to use the image, and then just did a little, what you can see here. Oh, here's a page that's blank. So again, an artist's trading card that didn't quite work, but I'm going to go over it. I can paint on it. I can still go over this, you know, again, just experimenting. And these could then work for larger pieces if I decided to do that. So that's it. Like, yeah, all the scraps being used, everything. Everything, like I'm even looking at like this little piece. So even something like this, it could then go on a page. Because it's painted, it's got paint on, because it's painted, you know, it can become part of something that will work further down the line. You don't always have to have everything worked out. Well, this is going to be like this. Like even here on the back page. So again, another little, I did a painting, and then I printed some out, and this one just didn't get used, and so I cut round it, attached it to a artist's trading card that then didn't get used, and now it's used in the book. And it says, I'm amazing, I am focused, talented, creative, loved, restored, reassured and adored and restored. And there's some just, you know, snippets of paper that was just again sitting in this bag that I thought, I don't want to waste them, let me just utilize them in some way, because on a small thing they would look as if they belong. On a bigger thing, obviously it'd be like, you know, what's this little bit of paper doing on, or this little bit of card. So, you know, even when you're making these or creating some of the journals, what you can do is to create smaller pieces. Like, okay, let me also show you this. So it's just a few. So what I did was painted on card, and then if you cut them up, you know, they can become really nice additions to a journal, a little tag, or they can go on a card, you know, or they can be the, you know, the front piece of a journal, keeping it really simple and plain. So have a play around and see what you think, and I hope that you found that useful. Again, you know, if you don't particularly want to draw an image, you can just utilize the colour and add colour to the pages, and that's what I've been doing in these journals, and then utilising anything else that I have. I've got loads of other tags I could use and loads of other imagery, and so I was like thinking to myself, you know, why not bring them together in a little art journal rather than being separate or in a bag that, you know, may get just tossed, you know, after years and years and years. And I've had them for years when I used to make cards, but I just thought, you know, make the most of them now, and it becomes a place where you can hold some memories, and who knows, you know, when you're no longer here, will it be something that my son looks in and says, oh, you know, this was what my mum was thinking at the time, because I've dated some of them. Yeah, Okay, so on a more cheerier note, I hope that you have found that interesting. I hope that, you know, as you move forward in terms of your journal making, that you think of all the little areas that you could maybe, you know, try something, do something different, or that you can take what you have, because, you know, you don't always have to have loads of materials that you're going to use to create something that's going to be special. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there, and I look forward to sharing another journal with you. Take care for now.